You're listening to America's Diesel Podcast.
All right, dudes. So I had somebody send a little message in for old Benjamin here today.
Fuck you, man. My cat eye is fabulous, motherfucker.
He's the only one who could make the word fabulous not homo. Fabulous. Hey,
Guess
but my
what?
dude.
It's Pride Month and that cat eye is still shitty. Still gay.
It's fabulous.
Congratulations, you made it on the podcast.
Oh, yeah. This week's podcast episode is brought to you by Fuel Bomb Diesel Additive, an additive designed for diesel enthusiasts, made by diesel enthusiasts. Ben, take it away.
Hell yeah, dude. So this is our in-house Fuel Bomb fuel additive for your diesel truck. Our biggest thing here is making sure that you can pretty much always have diesel additive on you all the time. You've got a lot of other additives out on the market that they have, anti-gel in there all the time. They have cetane in there all the time. They end up being big and bulky bottles. Our standard everyday diesel fuel additive is 1 ounce per 32 gallons, and that's its main job is to make sure that your fuel system stays lubricated and prevents the formation of algae. And it should also help you in colder climates too.
Should definitely help you in colder climates. Along with cleaning your fuel system and maintaining it, it'll also help you bump that cetane number up for a more efficient burn of your diesel fuel. And if cetane is just what you're after, there's the Fuel Bomb Hellfire, which is our straight 8+ cetane enhancer.
Yeah, and you guys asked, and we brought them back. We did go away from the bottles that didn't have the measuring little parts in there. We brought them back for you, so now you can measure out your 1 ounce per 32 gallons for the F-Bomb or 4 ounces per 32 gallons for the Hellfire.
Both these additives are available on our website, dieselpowerproducts.com. Now let's get back to that episode.
Hi, everybody. This is Ben, Tyler, and Corey from America's Diesel Podcast coming from Spokane, Washington. Greatly appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure and check us out on all the normal podcast avenues. You know what they are. If you need to order or need to place an order for your truck, make sure and check out dieselpowerproducts.com. You see that quick ship logo. It is in stock, ready to rock. Check out our Facebook group, America's Diesel Podcast. America's Diesel Podcast the group. 3 questions you must answer to get in there. We go live on our Instagram every Wednesday right around 5 p.m. Pacific time. Also check out our TikTok for Diesel Power Products. It's getting fired up pretty hot. Tile reviews.
Oh yeah, keep those reviews coming in. There's actually one of the new reviews. It was a 5-star review, but it was just like he just put a steamy pile of crap.
I'm pretty sure that might be Mitch. Because when I talked to him today on the phone, he said he sent a review and he wants shirts. Oh. I said, we've got shirts.
Yeah, we've got shirts.
I've got a few thousand.
Yeah, but keep those 5-star reviews coming in. If you do put a 5-star review on any of the platforms you listen to this on, screenshot that review, send it to podcast@dieselpowerproducts.com. Make sure to include a picture, a truck, and an address so we can send you a decal.
Sweet. Yep. If you're placing orders on the website, type in podcast. We can track it. If you're talking to a salesman, let them know you're a podcast listener so we can track it because money makes the world go round and microphones and beer ain't cheap.
Fact.
So, if you didn't know, we filmed 2 podcasts a session. We have 2 things to talk about. Do you want to talk about the article you sent, or do you want to talk about more of my shitty old F-250?
Well, I guess it depends.
Okay.
What are we doing for the second one?
Well, I could make an entire episode of 1 light bulb on my truck.
Please no, nobody wants that. You pick. I don't care.
Well, we're going to start with my truck then, because I drove it today and I'm happy.
Okay.
Cool. That gives me time to get that article up.
Yeah.
Sick.
So, for those of you who don't know, I did recently pick up another fairly high mileage 7.3 surprise. And I took it over to Chris, one of our sales guys who has a shop out in Medical Lake. We got the transmission, I wouldn't say fixed or dialed. We got the transmission working. It's working.
Yeah.
But then I actually drove it that weekend, like the next day. I actually loaded my family up in it, and it was kind of fun driving it. And then we were leaving our friend's house that night, and I would turn the headlights on and realize that one of my headlights just doesn't work. Low beams don't work.
Yeah.
High beams work, low beams don't. So like, great. So that weekend, the next morning, I kind of got into it. I was like, okay, let's get the basics, like change the bulb, look at everything, and all that kind of stuff. And basically, I changed the bulb, nothing changed. But having the bulb out, when you turn the high beams on, I could see the low beam little filament was like barely glowing. Like, so it was getting something.
Just not enough.
And so I was looking at it and I'm like, okay. And the way that these it has a 05 to 07 headlight conversion on there. So it's got 3 wires coming out. Middle is the ground. There's a wire to the right and a wire to the left. And I'm going to preface this with, it ended up being way simpler than I thought it was. And I'm fucking pissed, but I'm glad I found it. So,
okay,
join me on this fucked up journey.
All right.
Because I almost tore the harness all the way apart.
Yeah.
Because one of the previous episodes, I talked about buying a Power Pro with a little, the sniffer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't need that now. Still going to buy one because I kind of want one, but don't even need it.
Do
anymore.
you have C-clamps on the battery cables on this truck?
No, it's got real terminals.
Okay.
Yeah. And battery hold downs.
Amazing. Upgrade.
I had to buy battery hold downs, but it's got them.
You probably had to buy a new C-clamp because you sold the truck with a C-clamp on it.
For those of you wondering, my blue truck had a C-clamp holding the battery terminal on, and that was the tightest terminal on that truck. Never failed. That truck started in 20-degree weather all day.
Yeah.
All day.
And it's amazing the vibrations of that engine never loosened it.
And I didn't have a battery hold down either. Not even a bungee cord.
You should make C-clamp battery hold downs.
Yeah. Like manufactured shitty looking parts.
Yeah. People would probably buy them.
They probably would. 7.3 people are weird. But anyhow, so I'm looking at this thing, right? And first things first, I should have pulled up a schematic, but I didn't. Okay. I'm like, I have a voltmeter. I've done this conversion before. I know what I'm looking for. I have pictures from when I did my conversion of what the harnesses looked like before I did it. So I made sure the wires are in the right orientation. Okay, cool. So I immediately start looking at it. And when you're looking at the bulb, you can see one filament goes to the right and one filament goes to the left, both connecting to the center where the ground is, obviously. And the filament to the right is the one that was, barely coming on with low beams. Mm-hmm. So, right side. And that ended up being the green wire with the black line. Green with black. You're going to remember that. So I'm chasing down a green with black wire. And it's on the driver's side. So I'm looking up, going through the harness, trying to find it on the other side, and I test the connections on that one, and it's fine. I test the connections on the ground, and it's fine. And I'm trying to hunt down those green with black wire, green with black wire, green with black wire. Can't find it. I got the fuse box upside down. Can't find whatever. I finally find it going down somewhere else. I'm like, that's odd. Anyways, but then I think to myself, after 2 or 3 days, not 2 or 3 solid days, but an hour here, an hour there of still trying to figure it out, I go and look because it seems very odd to me because when I clip the wire from the connection, I can tap the positive on the battery and it lights up. Mm-hmm. And when I turn the high beams on, it lights up. But for some reason, the low just isn't coming on. I'm like, this is really weird. And so I end up, and I'm staring at this fucking schematic for days. My wife even commented, she's like, are you looking what? First off, what are you looking at? Yeah. It's like this wiring schematic for the headlights on the green truck. She's like, I don't know what I feel like you've been looking at the same thing for 3 days. Is everything okay? And I'm like, yeah, it's fine. I'm banging my head against the wall trying to figure this out. I'm ready to just open every fucking harness and find where it's broken. Yeah. And the part that's tripping me out is barely working. Right. It's barely working. Even when I ground it out, it's it's still barely working. I'm like, fuck, what the shit's going on? So finally I'm staring at the schematic. I'm staring. And I noticed that, so the low beams come together and go to a switch. The high beams, or the wires, come together and then go to one switch. The high beams stay 2 wires the entire way. I'm like, okay. Well, all right, but I'm only getting partial juice. All right, whatever. And then I'm looking at it, and I see that the headlight connection for the driver's side is labeled left side, and it's on the left side of the schematic. And I need the driver's side. But in my mind, I'm facing the truck, so I've been looking at the right one the entire time. But still doesn't change a whole lot of fact. Yeah. And I'm like, you know what? Just to be sure here, I'm going to go check the wiring on the other side. Because I've been checking that, and I was like, okay, this one's going to, ohm it out here with the ground, ohm it out, and check voltage when these are on, check this is, okay. So I go and look at the passenger side, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, something just isn't right. What the fuck? And I pull up the picture, and I pull up the other one, and I realize whoever put that harness on put the low beam where the ground was supposed to be. No, I'm sorry, the high beam where the ground was supposed to be and the ground where the low beam was supposed to be.
Oh, shit.
And if you recall, the low beams are connected from passenger side over to driver, then to power. Yeah. I'm like, okay, well, this is new. So I fix that. And then I go to turn the headlights on, and now I don't get any glow on the driver's side bulb anymore. And I'm like, I'm ready to like throw my tools through the windshield.
Like you thought you fixed it, and now it's worse.
Like the glow went away. I'm like so pissed. And I'm like, okay, all right, just basics. Now we fixed an issue.
Yeah.
And I had Tyler in the back of my head. What's going right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm so focused on what's going wrong. What's going right? Okay. Well, the switch works. I pulled it out, checked that.
Yeah.
The wiring's good. I got the fuse box flips upside down. Okay. Turn the headlights on. Okay. The wire going from the fuse box to the fitting, which is now, I know, a blue with white wire, which is now low beams.
Yeah.
Blue with white wire. So one side on the fuse box with it on, fuse box, and then to the end, and I'm reading, millivolt, barely anything.
Yeah.
And then I go to, I turn the high beams on. Or no, I look at the passenger side. I do that same thing, and it's reading like 11.9, 12 volts. I'm like, okay. So I have now, again, isolated to the same area I was at, just a different cable.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm like getting super pissed at myself. I'm like, I'm still back where I started, but at least I know now for sure. And I'm sitting there looking at it, and I'm like, I don't know if I ever checked where they spliced the new harness in. On this wire, because I wasn't checking this wire before.
Right. Yeah.
Because I was checking the wrong fucking wire because it was the other one.
Yeah.
And so I grab it and I'm like, I poke it right before the connection, 12 volts. Clip it off, butt connector, shrink wrap. I got headlights. Fucking like
wiring genius over here.
Again. And I'm not saying I'm not good at wiring.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
I feel good now.
Yeah.
I'm very happy now.
Yeah, right.
But I was kind of pissed because I was just like, man, if I had just slowed down, and instead of, and this kind of goes with a little bit of like life stuff too, but it's like when you're getting ready to embark on a project, like there is such thing as analysis paralysis. Like you can sit there and analyze it so much, but if I had just, before I even really tried to diagnose things, if I had stopped, okay, give me my 5 minutes of research before I do anything. Before I even take I would say after I just check the bulb, once I know it's going to be something with wiring, stop. Basics.
Yeah.
Find a schematic. Get familiar with the schematic and then start looking at stuff. I'm not saying I got to study it for 4 days.
Yeah.
Just look at it for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And just kind of like, oh, there's that. Because if I had looked at that with like the hood open the first time, I would have noticed the passenger side immediately.
Yeah.
And at least at that point, I would have been like, it's very weird that the passenger side is wired incorrectly and my driver's side doesn't work. But I know that that's wrong. So I'm going to fix that.
Yeah.
And I would have been already ahead of where I am now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, now the glowing's not there anymore. But I know that's right. And then I would have just continued to look at the schematic and figure it out. Probably would have been a 2-hour process.
Yeah.
But I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
I'm a fucking idiot.
It's okay. I had something kind of, idiotic with the Suburban, the 6.2.
Mm-hmm.
I kept on waking up to dead batteries. But then when I would check the alternator, it was charging. And I'm like, what the hell? And I think that only had one.
That's got to be a one wire.
Yeah, but I didn't check the alternator charging wire going to the battery. And when I finally looked at that, it was like, there was like only one strand like left of the copper. And I was still holding on to that. I was like, I'm such an idiot. Why didn't I look at because I would test it at the alternator and be like, yeah, this thing's making juice, but it's not charging my battery. Like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah.
Oh, it was just the wire.
So fucking frustrating.
Yeah. I think I made a comment before that I liked wiring. I like installing new things with new wiring, but like the checking of, especially like, harness and that sort of thing, some of that can be, a pain in the ass.
Because like I even started, I was Googling all kinds of shit. Like my browser was like, you couldn't even see the words
just a bunch of
anymore.
questions.
Just a bunch of questions. Yeah. Because trying to ask the right, but sometimes wrong question to get the right answer.
Yeah.
So I looked up like, 2000 F-250 one low beam not working.
Yeah.
Low beam issues.
Yeah.
Wiring issues. And it was always basically like not working. I couldn't find one that actually
like barely working.
Barely working.
Yeah.
So at that point, I probably should have known to myself, like, this is not a normal thing. Something's a bit fucky. Like,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not a normal problem. This is not a blown fuse. This is not a broken wire or something like that. Well, it actually ended up being a broken connection, but like, this is like some kind of fucky's going on here.
Yeah.
Because if they had wired that side correctly,
Yeah.
when I looked at the driver's side, I would have tested all the connections immediately. But because I didn't look at the schematic first and do anything else first, I started off with bad information on what wire to start checking.
Yeah.
And that's where I just fucked everything up.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the bulbs work now. I'm very happy with it. The other thing that I did on the truck, which I mentioned before, when I started having transmission issues, bought a tuner. So I have my Edge.
Classic.
Yeah, I know, right? I installed the Edge Evolution CS2 on there. I think one of the other episodes I talked about, I had to get a new stock file from Kurt. Got that loaded in and finally got to start driving it. And of course, I went straight to the fucking extreme tune. I'm not going to fuck around with anything smaller than that. But I got that on there and finally got to drive it last night. It fucking moves.
Yeah.
Like it's got the 100 horsepower tune on there.
Yeah.
There's a straight OBD2 tuner. There's no chip in there or anything like that.
Right.
And like, how do I put this right? Like, I've always run custom tuning on all of my
Yeah. As in like Hydra or like,
I mean, before I worked at Tony Wildman tunes, I've had DP tunes, Gearhead. I love Edge, but Gearheads are still my favorite.
Yeah.
Hands down, they'll always be my favorite. At one point I had a TS chip, TS6 tunes on there. But I've yet to run, I did an Edge Revolver way back. Like when they first came out, it was on the first excursion for like 2 weeks.
Oh, okay.
I tried it.
Yeah.
But I've never done just an OBD2 port tuner on a 7.3.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
And this isn't even a switch on the fly one.
No.
Maybe I'm getting old enough to where I don't care about switch on the fly anymore.
No.
I guess. But yeah, I am extremely impressed with it. It shifts fucking great. It woke that truck up incredibly well.
Yeah.
It was when I drove it last weekend and I was laying into it to get on the freeway. It was having issues trying to figure out what gear to be in. And I know it's on 37s, but it was just not okay. Hard shifting, barely doing anything, rattling. This, it starts up, it's smooth. The exhaust sounds great. Obviously, now I have an actual exhaust on there, but it when you lean into it, it does what it's supposed to do, comes up on boost, ICP comes up. It's just, I'm absolutely amazed. And I feel bad that it took me this long to run an Evolution tuner on there.
Yeah.
So cheers to you, Edge. Thank you you've been making a good product for a very long time for it, obviously, but I'm really impressed with it. I do like the CS2 monitor. One thing I didn't realize is that I thought I was going to be able to watch at least 9 PIDs at once, but I can only watch 8. I thought it'd be 3 rows of 3, but it's 2 rows of 4, if I recall correctly.
That makes.
Or is it 2 rows of 4, or is it 6 only? It's 6. 6.
It's 2 rows of 3.
2 rows of 3. Yeah.
Which, I mean, any more would make probably the font too small to.
I agree. Yeah. But as a 7.3 guy, I could watch all kinds of PIDs.
Yeah.
All right. So right now I've got on there IPR, ICP, boost, drive pressure, battery voltage, and transmission fluid temperature. I'll be able to get rid of battery voltage because I usually put one of those cigarette lighter ones in there that just watches it all the time.
Yep.
But I am going to get a fuel pressure sensor for it. But I also have an EGT probe for it, so I need at least 7. Shit. So which one? And normally I watch oil temperature as well. I'm like, man, maybe I do need a CTS3, or I could just decide what I don't want to watch.
Yeah.
Which I probably should anyways.
Yeah.
I mean, no one needs to watch all of that.
Yeah.
Except me. I'm a 7.3 guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, very impressed with it, and maybe I'm putting the cart before the horse here, but I need to get this thing up in the air and actually count revolutions of tire to drive shaft, because like in my head, I know it has 373s. But I'll tell you right now, the way it drives, it does not feel like 373s. It feels like 410s. So
Well, couldn't you do a calculation with a GPS with your speed?
I could.
I'm surprised you haven't yet.
Today's the first day I drove it.
Oh.
But it just, I don't know. I feel like even if I do the calculation, it's going to be one of those things where like, it's going to be right in between both. Like, it's going to come out as like 3.98 or something like shit.
Yeah.
But like I would feel better if I actually did the tire rotation with the drive shaft just to be sure. Or I mean, I'm sure I need to change my diff fluid because I'm not Tyler, and at that point I'll just look at the ring gear because it'll have it stamped on there.
There was a question asked today.
What?
If you change your diff fluid.
If I change my diff fluid?
I told him no.
So
I'm never going to change it now, and I'm going to be that guy that's like, I got 250,000 miles. I've never changed it. You guys are going to give me bad habits.
Bad habits start with you.
What do you got pulled up here, Corey?
I figured we'd use it for the next episode, but now that you see it.
Well, yeah.
So title here is from Motortrend. Says 2023 Ford F-150 Lightning XLT year-long test. Off to a bumpy start with, quote, range liar.
Well, they should be 2023 Ford F-150 Lightning truck of the year. Year-long test, off to a bumpy start.
With the range liar / by the way, another recall.
Oh, fantastic. All right, so what do we got going on here,
says,
Corey?
EV life in the Midwest is nothing like EV life in Southern California, and
No
we're
shit.
gaining a keen appreciation from Middle America's reluctance to go electric. Frank Marcus? Andy Hedrick? You guys are okay.
Andy just took the pictures.
Okay. Well, no, wait, go back to the top. Who was the writer?
Frank Marcus.
Okay,
writer.
Frank Marcus, so far, from what I've read of this article, you're the fucking man.
Yeah.
You are getting it, my friend.
Let's see if you're.
So to shout out Honey Badger.
Yeah.
He literally just posted this in the podcast group.
Oh,
and
right
I
on.
saw it and I was like, this might make for a pretty good topic here.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, if you're sensing DW, just indeed Motortrend's second year-long F-150 Lightning arrival.
Wow, literally 13 minutes ago. Nice one.
Model, yeah. I'll write about blah blah blah. Built and paid for about whatever. Okay.
The most modestly equipped F-150 Lightning XLT model is one of Ford's. The one that is loaning us for 12 months after winning Truck of the Year.
So that's why they did it? That's why you guys did it?
If you're wondering how on earth we'll find enough to say about two such similar long-termers for... they have two of them. F-150... we're often early starting difference or new experience. Michigan-based Lightning. The Water Winter Wonderland will present... Okay. Off to a bumpy start. Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Let's get there.
Yeah. Predicted 315 miles. Let's see. And arrived with less than 120 miles of range remaining, nowhere near enough to get home.
Grandma's house lacks a church. So they went to Grandma's house to pick up their dog, and that just the added weight of the dog had dropped the mileage.
So it says the next morning, the battery topped off at home with a cabin preconditioned. The range meter predicted 315 miles, way more than enough for a 130-mile drive north to retrieve our pooch from Grandma's house. We drove with traffic at the prevailing Michigan speed, 10 miles over 70-mile limit. Sounds about right.
Yeah.
And arrived with less than 120 miles of range remaining. Nowhere near enough to get us home.
Yeah.
So yeah, they at that point, they should have had 157.5 miles remaining. If they were to come up.
Okay, and here's another. Grandma's house lacks a charger, and her town of Midland boasts just 4, all of them 6.5 kilowatt level 2 chargers. So the entire town has 4. He says just 4. I don't know how big that town is. But we talked ourselves into purchases nearby. Miller subs electric meter boasting here. One of us got from 31 to 67% charge in 24 minutes. At a peak charging rate of 155 kilowatts, though we've observed as high as 182 in our SoCal truck. Surely that was plenty. Nope. Driving 10 over the 75 limit on US 10 for the 15 miles back to Grandma's house consumed 49 miles of indicated range. Our attempt to creep home at 70 miles an hour, traffic sneaking by on the left failed, forcing us to stop at a 125 kilowatt charge port, curiously located inside the short-term parking lot at the Flint Airport. It dispensed 20 miles of range in 10 minutes before faulting out, forcing us to complete the 58-mile run at 65 miles an hour, arriving on electric fumes. I had just purchased this for $85,779. I'd be asking for my money back if I had I just purchased. So it's obviously not the one they got, but
my favorite is at the short-term parking lot.
So that's like the cell phone waiting lot.
Are you sure? Because usually cell phone lots are called cell phone lots. Short term is short, like you pay for it.
Yeah.
Oh, is it?
So that means they had to pay to get into a fucking parking lot.
Yeah.
Then to pay more to use a charger.
They literally did this 120-mile round trip. Is that round trip or was that each way?
It's just one way.
So they got to Grandma's. Didn't have enough charge. They had 120 miles, but they had to go 130. Then they tried to leave, and they still couldn't get there, and had to stop at another place.
That sounds stressful.
This 120-mile trip just turned into sounds like a 2-day event.
Yeah. I used to drive 120 miles to get a beer.
Yeah.
You know?
Seriously.
It's my friend's birthday. I'll go have a beer real quick and I'll come back home.
Unbelievable. All right, let's see here. The nickname Range Liar. Whoop.
Yeah, again, so far, Frank Marcus, you fucking rock, dude.
Yeah. Let's see. Get to the meat and potatoes here.
Every trip consumed more miles of estimated range than miles traveled.
I'm disappointed that Ford is either unable or unwilling.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm disappointed that Ford is either unable or unwilling to give me the bad news about how far this truck will actually travel on a charge, especially when destinations are entered into the native navigation system. And yes, it was a late winter and we were running some heat. We're also operating 20 miles from Ford's engineering headquarters, so this climate should be no surprise to the truck's computers. When pressed on the subject, Ford attempted programming the system to present EPA best case range when charging via level 2 chargers like we've got at home and in the office. But an upcoming intelligent range feature coming via over-the-air update might soon change this. So in other words, this truck is basically useless.
Yeah. And the next they talk about aerodynamics. And yes, the drag coefficient on that truck is absolutely fucking atrocious.
Yeah.
Drag coefficient is 0.44, which how do I put this into drag coef? Let's find out what else has a 0.44 drag coefficient.
So when it says the pounds, Ben, I'm an idiot. Does that mean it's okay, so at 85 miles an hour, it's adding an additional 298 pounds
Yes.
to the truck?
Yeah, I assume that's the amount of force on it as it's driving at that speed.
Yeah. And
So
that's
force on
that's
it,
the
not
additional
necessarily
horsepower it needs to overcome it. So let's see here. So for reference here, a 0.44 drag coefficient is basically it's less than a circle. So just if you guys are wondering, when people think if you were to have a ball or sphere going through there, it's aerodynamic. It's actually not really. If you were to add a tail on the end of that, it becomes a lot more aerodynamic because the air coming off it isn't as dirty. It actually has nice laminar flow coming off it. Much like having a camper shell on the back of a truck, you don't have that air coming down, getting swashed around, and then you have what's called dirty air, or lots of air coming off it. So things that are around 0.44 drag coefficient, just a random circle, a half sphere. A cone, so like a triangle with a point going forward, that would have a 0.5 drag coefficient. And the general rule of thumb is you have to be able to, what's considered flying?
Come on, Ben, you got this.
Oh man, it's been a long time since I had drag coefficient stuff. But to give you guys another idea, there, a streamlined body, so like an airplane wing, roughly has a drag coefficient of 0.04. Okay, so when we're talking about like drag, this thing is not slipping through the
This
air.
thing's a billboard compared to an airplane wing.
Yeah, it's not slipping through anything here. And you want things obviously to be able to slip through the air. This ain't slipping through shit.
No.
It's. I'm almost positive a cow is more aerodynamic than this.
Can you Google what is the air coefficient of
or
drag coefficient of a cow?
Cow. Someone did a test on this in an actual fucking wind tunnel.
A cow's probably pretty freaking good.
Let's see. What is the average drag coefficient of a cow?
That's an actual test.
Yes.
What the fuck?
I would ride a cow versus owning an F-150 Lightning.
Okay.
I mean, so
Peyton's got cows.
it can tow more
For longer?
for longer too.
Probably costs less.
And it costs way less, and you could eat it when you're done with it.
Yeah.
If it breaks down or whatever, you just cut it open and eat the fucker.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Sorry, you guys can't hear this, but I'm watching a
What
video.
else? Is there any more?
Of
Yeah, let me
cow.
scroll
Pre-read
down
it while
here.
he's looking at this.
Okay, so he goes over his specs here.
Okay. Oh my God. The XLT, which is like their base model, which he said it was the most base model of those trucks, I believe, in the beginning of this, $65,369. But heaven help the truck buyer who passes on the $12,005 upgrade for the extended range battery. And that's only 80 miles of
For
range.
80 miles, dude.
How much is that per mile?
Wow.
Oops. 12,000.
$600 for a fucking tonneau?
What? Is that right?
Does it have like a solar
Times
panel on it?
80? Yeah. So you're paying $167 per mile of added range for that $12,500 upgrade. It's not really a tonneau cover. 595 soft trifold, offer rigid fold is 1,200, blah, blah, blah. Noticeably lighter and easier to remove. Yeah. Then the most recent year long, but the spring-loaded latches on the rear seem cheap and fragile. Sadly, the chip shortage robbed our truck of the onboard scales feature. Scroll down. Kind of protection at high speeds. You'll arrive a lot later if you had 10 broad forces additional charging stopper.
I mean, to be fair, if it was 130 miles and he only went, 10 miles an hour over the limit, it's only, like an extra 15 minutes or so he saved?
You said going 10 miles an hour over versus just going the speed limit? Yeah, I mean, but a truck should be able to go freaking 80 on the freeway.
I agree.
This is 2023.
I couldn't find the cow one, but to give you other perspective as well, as far as semi-truck drag coefficients, usually anywhere from 0.5 to 0.7. So this thing is teetering on being as aerodynamic as a fucking semi-truck. And then for scale on that, the Tesla semi-truck is 0.35 drag coefficient.
Oh.
So it's very slippery, obviously.
Yeah. So,
But it looks like it.
65% of our charging has been level 2 AC, resulting in lower per mile energy costs than the DC fast charger California. We'll be running to the lakes using that Pro Power onboard. And I wouldn't to run a lawn and construction projects, not to mention the Motortrend tailgate party trailer and lots more. The big question is, will we take it on long enough trips to accrue 20,000 miles, given that everybody in this office dreads the prospect of traveling around the nation's midsection? Wait, hold on. Everybody in this office dreads the prospect of traveling around the nation's midsection? With
Meaning
that?
like the Midwest, yeah.
Well, I mean, do they have consent to travel around our nation's midsection?
Where chargers are fewer and farther between and frequently foobar.
So basically, this is like just an absolute pain in the ass.
Yeah, it sounds like
essentially.
somebody came to their senses.
Yeah. someone actually did and wrote an article about it from Motortrend. Thank you.
Yeah.
I want to find out more about this guy. Frank Marcus.
Oh, go scroll down. Motortrend's Michigan 2023 Ford F-150 Lightning XLT service life. Oh, that's just their options that they got. Wow. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. They got a lot. Okay, Ford, the 2020 Motortrend Truck of the Year. For us, it'll cost $18,000 to power a house with our Ford F-150 Lightning. We're paying $650 to subscribe to our Ford F-150 Lightning. What the hell?
That's the Inevitable podcast. Ding. That's from May 20. Yeah, this year. Okay. I'm sure they had nothing but great things to say about the Ford Lightning.
Yeah.
It wasn't inconvenient at all.
Yeah.
So, does Frank like fight with the guys from Inevitable? Ding.
If he's not, he's gonna be.
Frank, you want to come on the podcast?
He's coming.
He's from.
So, this is just for like the Wi-Fi hotspot and all that stuff.
Yep.
Which the new Fords have that, and they have a diesel too.
Weird.
Yeah.
Or you just buy it with like a.
Or you just like turn
EcoBoost.
your hotspot on your phone. I don't know.
Yeah, or you save yourself like $25,000 and just buy the 270 EcoBoost
Yeah.
and have a great day.
Yeah. And
get cool noises.
Yeah. Yeah. And actually be able to, make it home from grandma's house, picking up your dog in that heat, which your dog is just sitting in the truck in the heat as you're waiting for your shit to charge.
I can't imagine having to try and explain like to my wife and my kids, hey, now like we can't, we just gotta hang out for a little bit here.
Dude, God forbid, like you have like a pregnant wife and you're like trying to make it to the hospital,
but you forgot to charge your wrap.
Yeah.
Your
oh, it says we got enough range, honey. Let's go. And you're hauling ass, and then like halfway there, your truck's dead on the side of the freeway.
Yeah.
Like
those blood stains never can come out of that back seat.
Oh my gosh. Again, useless truck. I don't know what else to say about it. I think we've kind of beat this one to the ground, but I love it when other people start to realize how useless these things are.
Yeah. If this wouldn't have been a Motortrend thing, I probably wouldn't have pulled it up.
Yeah.
But seeing that it was Motortrend, I thought it was noteworthy.
It's just so funny. You don't see any, like I said, like we've said, the new Super Duty should have been the truck of the year. I haven't seen one. Have you seen any recalls, any issues with the new Super Duties? I don't think I've seen any.
Other than just the standard CP4 issues.
Yeah, but I mean, there's no like recalls or like they're not stopping production. They're not doing anything like that.
No.
What's our time at? I know Ben's on a short one today. 39. Let's cap this one off. Yeah. Probably. All right.
Well, Frank, I just looked you up on Twitter. I couldn't find your email, but I might try and find it and give you an email and just give you a shout and say, hey, thanks for keeping it real. I don't know if you are truly like an actual diesel guy or not, which doesn't matter to me, but the fact that you're actually writing an article to keep it real enough with your experience with the Ford Lightning, you're grade A in my book, my friend.
Yeah.
And that's all we're asking for. We're just trying to keep it fucking real.
Honesty.
Like, this trip sucked with this truck. It was fucking stressful.
Yeah, truck owners aren't going to like this.
Nah. God forbid they actually had something in the bed.
Yeah.
Or towing a fucking John boat.
Bubble gum.
Anything. Heaven forbid they picked up too many cases of Mountain Dew.
Yeah.
Now they can't drive home. And we got jettison some Mountain Dew off the side, babe.
Yeah.
Can't stop. Send the kid to the back.
My God.
Well, it's gonna about wrap this one
up. Honey, don't
ladies.
plug in your phone. We're not gonna make it.
Yeah. What's that? You got. I don't know anything about diabetes, but like when I was like, I need to charge my diabetes pump.
No.
Sorry, can't do it. Truck's gonna die. You're gonna just Figure it out.
Yeah.
Like,
Toughen up.
toughen up. But yeah, so if I doesn't tell you how we feel about the F-150 Lightning, I'll sum it up for you real quick. It sucks.
Yeah.
Stupid.
Like there was one in our parking lot that was like parked off to the side, and I thought it was broke down, and I literally shed tears of happiness. But then I realized that it wasn't broke down, and he drove off, and then I shedded different tears of sadness.
Yeah. Because we wanted it. I wanted to see it broke down so bad. Well, ladies and gentlemen, greatly appreciate all you guys tuning in. If you want to check out that article, I think we'll try and post it in the link here, but it's basically he's probably the only guy at Motortrend talking shit about the Ford Lightning. I'll put it out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe and check us out at dieselpowerproducts.com.